League
Welcome,
name.
everybody.
Oh. League name TBD. Manager in the Mirror, episode one. We got Rob Sheft in the cut. How are we, Rob?
I'm doing good, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Great,
We're
man.
getting it started early this year so that we can get a full 10 manager in the mirrors out. I think we hit 8 last year with 9 recorded. So we're getting the jump early, and if it really works out, maybe we'll have 10 in pre-rookie draft.
We
Uh
are 10
Who
weeks
did you
out.
uh who'd
keep
you guys miss out on?
Zach.
myself in feeds.
Okay.
We recorded mine and we just never posted it.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
I
It was
forgot.
in the chamber for a while, and then by the time it was like, all right, we might as well just post this one, it had been a long time and a lot had happened. So it was
It
kind
was
of,
Got it.
real irrelevant. Real
Cool, cool.
irrelevant.
it was like pre QB draft. And then by the time we would have posted it, it was like August.
Got it.
But here
Um,
we are.
Here we are.
we're gonna talk Rob Cachabato today. Before we get into that, I worked really hard on a sign here. I wrote it backwards, thinking the camera would be inverted. It's not, but we're keeping it as is. But let's talk Rob now. So Rob in
Hello.
2023 finished 10 and 5, was the 2 seed, and then lost by 58 in round one to the eventual champion Jesse Meir in what
Uh-huh.
then marked the year of the Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to 20 or lost by 20 to Dan in round two and eventually netted a fourth place finish. Um, and he got to work. The QB redraft on March 4th. Wow, that anniversary just passed. QB
Wow.
redraft on March 4th. He grabbed Kyler at the 110 and then traded down to get Baker at the 208, acquiring Jaden Reed in the process. And he also grabbed some Aaron Rodgers on the way out. Um,
Genius.
then, 4 days before rookie draft, May 6th, he sent Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Swift for Luke Musgrave and the pick that became Lad McConkey. So that one was interesting. During the draft on May 10th, he sent Darnell Mooney and his 26th third for the pick that became Troy Franklin. And he drafted Drake May at the 105, Lad at the 202. I always have these out of order for some reason, but you got Trey Benson at the 107, Jalen Polk 303, Troy Franklin, like I just said, at the 306, and Brendan Rice, son of the GOAT, at 504. In season, he started off real hot, and on September 16th, got what he thought was his final missing piece.
On the
And
pod.
on the
Yeah.
pod in Sam Laporta, sending Lad McConkey, Luke Musgrave, and this year's first, or no, sorry, the 26th first.
Thank you for fact checking that. Thank you. Yep.
Then on October 2nd, to try and round out the squad, he sent Trey Sermon and Trey Benson and the 205 this year for T. Higgins and Trey Sermon. And when it was all said and done, he finished 8 and 7, was the 5 seed, sixth in points for, and he's got no top 30 pick this year or first and third next year. And that is the story of Rob Cachabato to date. Dan has our first question.
Sure.
So as we're digging in here, number one, a little bit the man behind the manager in the mirror. What's going on with Robert Cachabato these days?
Well, hello everyone. Right now I'm still at home, as you can probably tell, working as a logistics broker in Southampton Township. Um, just waiting for that football season to get back. Been playing a lot of Xbox with our fellow member Luke Witt and Zach Fedor. Uh, Severance season. Tommy Griffin I know is a fan. Um, but nothing crazy has been going on with me.
Hell
Some
yeah.
people have a little bit too much professional courtesy, but I hear there's some significant severance tea on the in the Zoom call tonight.
I don't know. I may or may not have a patient on the schedule tomorrow that is, from what I gather from Google, a top six or so Severance act whatever the non-binary version of actor is.
No shot. Who is it?
I can't say.
What do you mean by
Um,
patient?
I work for a doctor.
And you can't say who it is?
It's quite illegal, actually. But yeah, that's all we're getting into for now.
Just say it, and we can add to the list of private YouTube videos. It's the new trend, is the
That's
private
just
videos after Tom's
um
rant last app.
yeah,
That's
I'm
crazy.
not doing that.
That's awesome though.
Let's focus on Rob.
It's definitely fucking I know who it is actually. I can just make a guess.
Is it who's your guess? Because I've gotten the same guess from two different people, and I haven't watched the show, but I wonder why everyone thinks this guy needs orthopedic help.
Wow. So you okay, I mean, yeah, it's definitely gonna be Tremel Tillman.
Is that? I think that's the one everyone keeps guessing. I don't know,
Wow,
but
no, I you just I wasn't gonna get I was actually gonna guess a female, but
Because Ryan said actress.
because
I
he said actor.
I didn't do anything. Um,
Or no, you said I don't know why he would need orthopedic help, but changed my guess. I threw my guess out the window.
Gotcha. Well, moving on. Um, we'll get into Rob Cacciabato, the manager now.
Yeah,
Now, obviously, last year you were predicted by many to be a playoff team, and you
sure.
started the year very strong. I believe you had two top scores in the first 4 weeks alongside myself. And you had an injury to Rashi Rice that was definitely a factor. Is there
Hmm.
anything else you attribute to your team fading down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, I don't want to, I mean, it was obviously injuries that played a factor, but everyone deals with injuries. Um, I would say the timing of injuries kind of hurt me because with Rashi Rice in particular, that was a 7 point game. I feel like with Danny, he got hurt first drive of the game. So it's not like I was able to make lineup decisions to correct them. It just kind of ha happened mid game, which sucked. Um, but yeah, but then I feel like my team was dealing with injuries a lot throughout the year. That's why I had to trade for T. Higgins. The reason behind the Laporta trade was because Njoku had a high ankle sprain week one. Um, so I feel like I had pieces to be competitive, but I was just trying to make patchwork throughout the season when a new injury crept up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, Dynasty Nerds currently values you with the second least draft capital of anyone in the league, and you have
Mhm.
less than a quarter of what is the league average value.
Okay.
What is the direction of your team this offseason, and how it is affected by the current draft capital reserve?
Yeah, I mean we're trying to win, right? We're trying to be a top four team, top five team if we ever go to 5 team playoffs, and just give ourselves a chance. I feel like I've drafted well in the past, and this is like my first year where I'm not really in on the first few rounds. Even when I had a few picks, I was actually able to get hits, which actually has helped my team avoid a rebuild for so long. I feel like I'm one of the few teams that actually hasn't gone full rebuild mode. But yeah, I feel like I still have the pieces to compete and be competitive, especially on a week to week basis. I feel like my team can go up against anyone.
For sure. Now, speaking of your past draft moves, you made it a focus to land Drake May last year. How much of that was genuine belief in the man and the player, and how much of it was just being afraid of him being a hit on the Pats and being out of your reach at that point?
Yeah, it was definitely the second one. Definitely, I couldn't risk him being great and me not having him and having the chance to. Um, because going into draft season, I wanted Jaden over Drake May. But see, and then when the Patriots got Drake May, I wanted him to actually play. Um, but he's looked great so far. I'm glad I made that trade. I'm glad I picked him. I'm glad Pat took Michael Penix, and then I'm feeling good about my Patriots on my team this year and in general.
Gotcha. A bit of a follow-up on that one. I'm sure you're in the group of fantasy football players that feels Drake May is only it's only a matter of time before he's one of these top shelf quarterbacks. Do you think this is the year, or are we going to be waiting a little bit longer?
No, I think this is his breakout year. If I believe and trust in Mike, if someone believes and trusts in Mike Vrabel like I do, I think the first thing they're going to do is sign two offensive linemen, draft another. Hopefully, they land a receiver that's being talked about in these trade talks, and all of a sudden the pieces around him. They got Josh McDaniels back, who's been one of the best OCs in recent memory, especially with the Patriots. So I think it's going to be a great, depending on the moves they make, I feel like this could be his big breakout year.
Well, as you're highlighting there, situation is really important for these guys, for everybody in fantasy.
Mm.
And question marks have been kind of been a theme around your team for a bit now. As it stands, half of your starting roster will be dealing with new offensive coordinators this year. Are there anybody or any offensive situations that stand out to you as more exciting, guys? You're excited for the change, or anybody who you're distinctly worried about?
Yeah, my sweetheart Alvin Kamara, I'm thrilled about getting Kellen Moore. I feel like we saw how he helped Saquon. He came in day one, said Alvin Kamara is going to be a big part of what we do here. Really excited about that. Um, Everyone else, I mean, I'm not sure there's anyone that I'm not excited about. My Patriots, I'm really excited about. They got Alex Van Pelt out, who was just conservative as hell, gotten Josh McDaniels. I mean, I'm feeling good about the situational changes rather than feeling negative.
Nice, nice. And aside from the obvious May, who would you say are the guys on your this roster, aside from Kamara also, that you're most excited for going into 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I would say mainly because of what he's done in the past and how he ended last year, especially. I'm really excited about Jonathan Taylor to keep it going this year. Um, Hopefully Anthony Richardson figures his stuff out a little bit, or if they bring in a quarterback to be more competitive, that run game's gonna always be a factor with Jonathan Taylor. And especially if he can get some passing work, he can have an obvious top half RB1 season again. Um, I'm excited about Rashi Rice to see how he comes back from injury. If Godwin leaves, I'm excited about Mike Evans. Um, my quarterback room in general, I'm excited about. I feel like my starting lineup, there's a lot more excitement than people I'm feeling pessimistic about.
This is one excited guy right here.
I'm thrilled.
Safe to say he's not blowing it up anytime soon.
No.
He believes in his guys. All right. It's a little bit of a difficult topic. It might be a little fresh of a wound, but
Yeah,
you're noticeably upset by your inclusion in the finalists for worst manager at this year's Niflies. Um, why do you think the committee, whoever they were, got it wrong?
yeah,
And who would you say should have been in your place?
yeah. I was hot, and I'm still hot about it, to be honest with you. Um, what a joke of a show that was, huh, fellas? It was obviously an inside job, uh, fucking concocted by Tommy Griffin and a few others. I feel like Tommy Griffin had a little bit more influence than he was saying. Um, yeah, it was a tragedy, absolute disgrace that I was nominated for top three worst manager at that award show. I would say the moves I made. So the one thing that people can point to is the Lad McConkey Laporta trade, which granted it isn't looking like it's going to be work out exactly how I want. But I feel like considering at the time I made it, my only healthy tight end was actually I don't even think I had one at the time because Njoku was hurt. I needed to do something, and I was starting the season hot. But then if you go back to the Superflex draft, I got Baker, traded back, got Baker instead of Dak, got Jaden Reed. I made the trade for T. Higgins. I kept my team competitive. If I just didn't do anything, I would have had a top three pick, most likely. Um, and then the person who should take my spot, I feel like it's quite easy, and I can't believe they weren't nominated. It should have been Danny Marks.
Oh, I had
Um,
no idea this was coming.
Um, and it really happened when I heard the news I was nominated for this worst manager spot. I was driving my car and I had a realization. If Danny just didn't do anything, just stopped doing stuff, he might have three rings right now.
Oh,
The uh the giving away the rights to Baker and deciding to sit Travis Kelce costed him a championship this year, and that should not be looked past.
wow. This is NFL or Nifty's best manager finalist, Dan Marks. We're talking about Dan. Do you have anything to say?
I was gonna mention my best manager candidacy. I'm not sure where the three rings math comes in. As for this year, I could have started Travis Kelce. I would not have won a championship.
But if you
I could have not traded up to get Dak Prescott, who got injured, and as I think we can agree, nothing you can do about injuries. And with CeeDee Lamb getting hurt, it's hard to win a championship. I lost in the finals as arguably once again the best team in the league in the regular season.
Well, except for being the one seed, but yeah.
Well, points for. Um, I didn't win the ring this year. It's harsh criticism to say you didn't win a ring. You come in last place. Honestly, it's a year where it's hard to find worst managers, but I'd rather have made the moves I did over the last year than be in your position and have made the moves you did over the last year.
Wow.
I would love to have not. I would have loved to have stayed put and take Baker though. You got me there.
Some tense situations on our first manager in the mirror. Some sniping back and forth.
I will say, if my computer dies in the next couple minutes, I'm joining on my phone. Just putting it out there. It's one thing I overlooked.
Never easy with
The internet connection's been rolling though, so really, who can
Yeah.
complain?
No, but that's a fair point. If you just look at our rosters with the team that you have, um, you really shouldn't be in the worst manager conversation.
I mean, the parallels are interesting. You bring up
But at what point do you just have to get the job done with that team, right?
some are calling for some heads over in the Funky Bunch.
I
Both
don't
of
know
you were
who.
in,
We have a ring.
both of you were in the finalists for the trade awards. Rob, you were a receiver of the trade rape, or you were a finalist as the T. Higgins receiver.
Yeah, that was overlooked also. I just don't know my biggest gripe with it was I don't know what I did to actually be worst manager.
And you weren't worst manager.
Well, just to be, I was damn close, wasn't I? According to the Nifty voters, I was damn close.
You received a first place vote. I don't know from who.
It was
Yeah,
a hard season to pick a worst place manager when outside of Zach's silence, I don't think there was anything too or anybody overly objectionable on the season.
I will say
Hard
also,
to
I
point to
feel like
anything.
it could be just my reporter genes, but I feel like I knew what was I feel like I was a couple steps ahead of knowing what was happening in the league and being able to make moves based off of that. Um,
Rob
Probably
Shefty's rookie draft run last year
it
was
was
something
incredible.
special. It
yeah,
really
Flip
was.
out
and
the
hey, and
defense.
guess what? Guess what? I know I don't have a top 30 pick this year, but I their moves can be made here. Moves can be made.
Well,
Definitely.
you did get yourself a Nifly for having that finger on the league pulse, and it was well earned.
Yes, yeah.
Moving forward, the league is growing increasingly competitive. It's been a trend in recent years. We had a couple teams hitting the tank button. Not Doesn't look like that's going to be the case this year. We have the expansion teams really starting to step into contention. We have
Yep.
Tom's team kind of coming back from the grave.
Yep.
It's going to be a thick race next year.
Uh-huh.
Is there a manager you feel a particular rivalry with, or who it feels particularly important for you to beat, and why?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you asked me this last year, probably would have been Luke Wittenborn. I feel like we are more of allies now in this league than rivals. But yeah, the answer is clear, and it's Tommy Griffin. Um, yeah, I don't. I know what he's doing behind the scenes. And that's the one my team really wants to get next year.
He thinks he's hot shit. I think he thinks he can pretty much hang with anyone this coming season.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
I love it.
Gotcha. Well, our last question in any manager in the mirror episode is who's going to win it all and who's going to finish this year at the bottom. And we'd love your thoughts.
Yeah. It's a little hard to project who's going to come in last. And we saw free agency in the draft. Um, I'll start with who's going to come in last. Who the hell is even going to come in last? Probably, I hate to say it. I mean, maybe Pat. I think just because maybe quarterback play might be a little weak still from his team. But I feel like it's really competitive. I feel like it's all going to be jumbled up for most of the year. Um, who's going to come in first? Who's going to win? Last year, I was like, who knows? I mean, Danny's got a good team, this and that. I feel like this is the best day one starting lineup I'm bringing into the league. And
Wow.
I'm not never gonna say anyone but myself from here on out, especially because I know how my team can play. I know what the points we can put up. So I feel like my team's gonna make a run.
Frankly, when I look at your team, it's absolutely there.
Oh, thanks, man.
Definitely.
That
Yeah, when I was looking it over while we were scripting out the episode, I was just thinking, a lot of Patriots that could be on the upswing. Maybe the Buccaneers, you don't know what they look like per se this year, but everyone else I think takes a jump or holds the same this year. And you weren't bad this year by any means. Like I
it's
said,
it really everything because Rashi Rice was such a game changer for the first what I think he got hurt in week 3 or week 4 he got hurt.
I think four, yeah.
I mean, those first 3 weeks he was throwing up 20 plus points a game, and that was just such a game changer. The only blessing I can think of is if he doesn't get hurt and then Mike Evans doesn't get hurt last year, is I don't make the T. Higgins trade. And then when I trade it for him, his value just jumped up even higher. So that's the only blessing I can think of about him getting hurt for my team.
Good stuff. Very true. All right. Well, I think that does us for Manager in the Mirror episode 1. Before we get out of here, you got anything to say to your listeners and league mates?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. Um, it's going to be a fun off season. Going to be a fun season. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say. This is the best podcast around. Um, you should stick to podcasts and not award shows.
Oh.
Um, let's open up the voting next year. Um,
Agree.
Tommy Griffin, I'm coming for you. Um, after I play you this year, you're gonna want to get severed, my friend.
That probably is some harsh words, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I got another thing actually. I got another thing. All these reporters that are coming out in our group chat now, get a grip.
Nico
Just get an absolute. Who do we have now?
McNeil.
We have Jeremiah, who I respect Jeremiah because he was the second. He was the first person to go against the Schefter. I respect that. We got McShay now. Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? What an absolute copycat thing that is to do.
Mike,
Ryan, you're jumping in on it now too.
I pop in now and then with Ryan Windhorst. I
Let
don't
me
like.
let me let me just say this to everyone thinking about it.
Oh, no.
Well, they say it's a copycat league. I don't know what to tell you.
He got taken out in his prime. Oh, that's crazy.
Damn. Well, I don't think we gotta wait for him to hop on his phone. I think we can call this one here.
Yeah, thank you everybody for
Wait,
listening.
he was ready. We're giving it to him. Robert's iPhone is in.
Yeah, you thought you could get rid of me. You thought you could get rid of me. To all these reporters thinking about joining this fucking race. It's a one man show, all right? It's a one man show, and we got Jeremiah as the one B. This is what I do. This is what I will continue to do. And anyone that's thinking about jumping in, think again, because it's not going to work out for you. It's my off season right now. You guys can try and give your mock drafts, your draft reports. Tell me something about a prospect that you think I don't already know, that I don't already see on Twitter 20 minutes before you tell me. This is
Wow,
this is just what I do, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you, fellas, for having me on. It's a pleasure.
of course.
So
Uh,
glad to have you.
One of the highest charting guests for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe yeah, yeah. I'm excited to see uh the other man in the mirrors, managers in the mirrors, see what people are saying.
Another class showing from Rob Schefter, dare I say.
I try. And shout out Luke Wittenborn. What an A class manager he is. A
Wow.
class manager, A class FIFA player, A class NHL player.
You guys are playing Shell?
We're playing Shell, and dare I say it, he is electrifying on the ice.
Wow.
Oh,
Um,
great for the league.
uh, Shout out Zach Fedor, heartbeat.
Love it.
Shout out my
Dan,
podcast hosts, and that's all. That's all I got.
it's all.
All right.
Dan, anything from you?
Not a word.
Cool. Thanks for listening, everybody, or watching, whatever you did.